Hello, friends. Another edition of Ryan and Ryan on Afterburner tonight as the Calgary Flames fall 2-1 in Detroit in overtime and fall to 0-1-1 on their four-game roadie with 2 games left of back-to-back coming up in Pittsburgh on Saturday. They'll close it, and an emotional Friday matinee affair coming up next in Columbus. Ryan, how are you? Good to see you, sir.
I'm well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm here. I did witness a hockey game tonight. I don't know that that'll stand out as one of the more memorable ones of the year, but it was another comeback for the Calgary Flames, another third period comeback for the Calgary Flames, and a game that is not without some controversy. My phone has been lighting up with people moaning about the overtime penalty, and I think rightfully so. We'll get to that. Also in the third period, Wings fans were likely a similar chorus of harumph, harumph, harumph to the hand on the puck in the face-off dot penalty, which we rarely ever see get called. But before we get to all that, just a thought on the 60, let me do the math here.
63.35
minutes of hockey you survived tonight, Ryan.
I mean, the Flames look like a team that can't generate much at even strength. And I'll say this. I thought Detroit did a good job just not let the Flames get going. The Flames also did a good job not getting much going. So everyone was conspiring to make sure the Flames didn't generate much at 5-on-5. And all the goals in this game were scored on the power play.
That's true.
It was one of those games where you're like, oh, man, something weird's going to decide this game. And then two weird things decide this game. And if you're a Flames fan, if you're glass half full, you're going, all right, they didn't play very well, but they got a point. So, I mean,
yeah. And if you're on Team RB, this one stings because they didn't deserve to win, I don't think. And they do get a point thanks to a quirky call. But yeah, I think Detroit was the better team on this night. Neither team did much 5-on-5. All 3 goals, as you noted, come on special teams. Let's walk our way through them. First off, though, reminder this program brought to you by our good friends at Bet365, the world's largest sports betting platform. Open an account today with Bet365. Use that promo code NATION when you sign up. Whatever the moment, never ordinary at Bet365. A huge range of markets, including a lot of football tomorrow. We'll take a glance at later on. So welcome to the program. Let's get to the action. Why don't we start in chronological order, Yasmin, with our opening goal of the game. It did, as all the others did, come on a power play and an early one for the Detroit Red Wings with Matt Coronado in the box for tripping. Now, before we get there, just a reminder, last we checked, Ryan Huska was doing this about this after the loss in Ottawa. It was not a good first period for hey, they heard him and they're listening to it.
During the 4-game homestand, the Flames had during 4 games, they had, I think 10 penalty kills total over 4 games.
Right.
Then they had 9 against Ottawa, which sounds like a lot because it is.
Yeah.
And then they started with 3 in the first 10 minutes against the Red Wings.
Yeah.
And the first power play resulted in a goal for Detroit.
Let's have a look. Nice puck movement.
Swings to DeBrincat, cross ice, out of the reach of Raymond. Traffic in front.
Low, bang. Tough to blame Vladar. He may have come to that far post a little too aggressively, but let's be honest here. It's a power play, and you give a guy an open look. That's kind of what power plays are designed to do, and they finish it. That's a guy that finishes. DeBrincat's been doing this for a while. He gets snubbed all the time everywhere. No one wants him. Everyone trades him. Can't make World Juniors. All he does is score goals. He's up to 9 on the season, so he's on that sort of flirting with 40-goal pace. That ain't new. He just scores goals, Ryan.
Yeah, and the man they call, I believe it's of Brincat or the Brincat. I don't remember. I don't know the
Brincat. That's the nickname.
Or of Brincat. I'm not sure the nomenclature or the origins of his name.
Well, of would be a preposition. The is more of a title. Yeah,
he's good at, like, he's got that shot. The puck is barely on his stick by the time if you're Vladar, by the time you realize he has the puck, it's behind you. So I mean, not much you can do there. And then the Flames follow this up with 2 Jonathan Huberdeau minors back to back.
If this was Marty Pospisil, he would get benched for a period tonight because that's 2 lazy penalties on Huberdeau. The first one especially, like, you see a guy coming into you, maybe don't fold him with a cross check in his back. He can't see you. Not a good first period for the Calgary Flames. despite, I thought, a pretty good couple minutes of pressure out of the gate. We had that backdoor play where Anderson hits Kadri. That nearly clicks. That could have been an early start for the Flames, but instead 3 consecutive penalties to the Flames. And it was almost as if you could see the officials blushing as moments into the 3rd consecutive Flames power play, they even things up with a Larkin holding call. The refs were too involved in this one tonight, and I haven't even got to the 3rd period in overtime yet.
Yeah, there was they were active. I mean, they were all penalties
By
but
the letter of the law.
Yeah, but at a certain point, you're like, all right, let's just let these guys go.
Play. To be fair, no one really wanted to score at 5-on-5, it seemed. So there you are.
No.
1-0 after 20 minutes. Again, the greatest chance I thought the Flames had was that backdoor play with Kadri nearly getting that Anderson pass. You had a Miramanov partial break. You had a Kuzmenko shot, but just not necessarily enough tangible chances created through 20 minutes. Tarasenko, it's a post early in the second. We did go almost a whole period without a penalty. Sherratt would take a trip. Calgary on their second power play. No. Vladar makes his best save of the night after that, late in the second. Gorgeous right pad save. This was after a pretty nice couple of saves with his pads prior. But thoughts on the Flames netminer tonight?
I thought he's selling. This is a very Flamesy game where, it's a group that due to, let's call them structural roster reasons, just don't have a lot of guys with dynamism in their game right now. They have, I wouldn't say they have bad players, but they have players that sometimes in games like this have a hard time of, breaking out offensively. This was a Detroit team that was completely content to clog up the middle of the ice and dare the Flames to chip and chase. And the Flames were like, no, screw you. We're not chipping and chasing. We're just going to try to carry this up the middle. And shockingly, it didn't really result in much of anything.
Yeah.
And so the Flames turned the puck over quite a bit in the middle of the ice, and Vladar had to be pretty good. Yeah. I think we were discussing scoring chance data, and the Detroit Red Wings, both for high danger and regular scoring chances,
essentially doubled up the Flames.
Yeah. So, Dan Vladar was asked to be good at 5-on-5 after an early power play goal and hold the team in. Mm-hmm. And I would say he was up to the assignment.
Yeah. And to be fair, that's been the Flames most nights this year. It's not been goaltending that's let them down. It's been more goal scoring and goaltending holding them in. Still 1-0 through 40 minutes of play. Yes, we do or don't have that Vladar save. We do. Let's watch that now because we were talking about the goaltending. This might be his.
Tried to center for Coronado, but Red Wings get it back. Now Fisher striding in. Fisher to Rasmussen.
Like that is exactly what you want to do to create a scoring chance. Get in close, make a goalie move a huge distance laterally to an unmarked player who probably has a lot of empty net to look at before he shoots. Great save from Vladar there. Keeps it within 1. That would be crucial because in the third, get ready for a penalty you almost never see called in the NHL. And look, I don't think that the refs are to blame for one thing or another. They called more things both ways than I would have, Ryan. You didn't need 4 each way tonight. You got 4 each way tonight. The last of the Flames power plays was the most interesting. And I think it was mentioned on the broadcast that less than a handful of these calls made in all of last season combined.
And if you're Detroit, team's been sort of up and down this year. You're up a goal. Late third period, D-zone faceoff. Your captain takes the most obscure minor penalty in the history of the game.
Yeah, let's see it. On the faceoff, Yaz, have you got it? Yeah, lovely. Okay, so here it is.
Power play opportunity for Calgary there.
Now, by letter of the law, this is penalty.
Had one earlier
but in the
third period.
I'm managing a hockey game tonight.
That's what the faceoff violation is.
This is late. This is a 1-goal game.
Oh, he uses his glove.
He did.
You can only play the puck off the faceoff with your stick.
It is by the letter of the law call. I also get the sense that
you're allowed to punch it. You can punch the puck, but you can't put your hand
palm.
on.
You can use the knuckles. Yeah. So I just sort of think that one they kind of ignore most of the time. Detroit fans would not be happy. Calgary Flames fans absolutely were, because off to the power play went the Calgary Flames. And, they would take advantage with a guy who has done nothing but been arguably their best forward all season. Connor Zary with a big one here.
Jared trying to go back up top. Mackenzie Weegar swings to Zary. His wrist shot scores! Connor Zary! Power play goal ties it up in the third for the Flames. Jared Knowich trying to go back up top. Mackenzie Weegar swings to Zary. His wrist shot
And you can't help but notice number 10, who probably felt a little bit sheepish after his minor penalty
Back to back
in the first period.
Yeah.
Of course, using his big frame for the screen in that goal. So it's, okay. Maybe that might have made up for one of the minor penalties, but
to be fair,
yeah.
they didn't score on any of his penalties. So
I mean, one of them got wiped out by a phantom, or an even up call.
that's right.
I didn't say
Zary's
phantom.
5th of the year. Now, by the way, on the show today, the main show, I had a Zary assist and a Sharangovich goal. I had that the other. This one here.
You're close.
No such thing as close, Pike. Either win a bet or you don't.
And so we got bonus hockey tonight, didn't we?
Yeah, Zary's 5th of the year at 17-12. The second power play goal of the night made it 1-1. And off to overtime we went, where we got to see another quirky penalty call. Let's have a look at this one. Yasmin is 3-on-3. Zary actually started. If you're wondering where he is in the hierarchy of Ryan Huska's let's make a play, because it's 3-on-3, Zary takes the draw. First man on the ice.
He's got some space. And then
So there's the change.
Now
start counting.
there is 5 guys on the ice there,
Zary's off.
but
So-
there's very little involving the play and the puck, and they let the play continue here. Wait for the whistle. We'll be quiet. Now they blow it.
Wow.
And so to wait that late to call it too many
So
just
there's
reeks of what the hell's going on here.
So the rule is, if you're immediately next to the bench, you count as in the bench.
Yes.
And so letter of the law, yeah, okay. Yeah, you could make a case this is too many men. When I was watching the replay, I was like, okay, that first guy forechecking, he's the first guy back trying to pressure the guy from going 2 into the zone. I guess he's engaged in the play.
Kind of.
But it's one of those ones where you have to think about it. And maybe that's why the linesman took so long to blow it down, and why Rasmus Anderson is so visibly confused, because you're just like, okay, I guess.
I
mean,
just see them
sort of
in overtime. That's a call officials don't usually make, and that was the linesman, which absolutely have the authority to call that. But typically it's the ref missed it, I better make amends here.
Yeah,
I just think more times than not we see that ignored, not unlike the one in the third. And again, I'm not blaming officials for anything. I just thought more whistles than we needed for both sides.
I mean, I just think the refs want to see some goals.
Maybe that was
neither team is really
was
getting
doing
too much going at 3-on-3.
3-on-3 was. Daryl Sutter's in the chat. Nice to see you, Daryl. Sorry about your firing. You still sour? Are you all right? Just we'll wait for your response. No, we're good. Yeah, look, better team deserved to win. 1. 2 points to the Wings and 1 for the Calgary Flames. It would have been an ugly loss. Instead, you get a point. But I don't know. Like, my concern about the Calgary Flames is that if they don't get elite goaltending, are they good? And when you watch the first 2 games of this road trip, the answer looks like a no. And when you watch them on a winning streak, it's been because they've gotten elite goaltending. And I might be totally wrong, and this is a playoff team, but it's hard to expect elite goaltending every night in the NHL. We know how volatile the position is. We understand how hot and cold players get. They are going to try to move Vladar for the name under the guise of asset management. If you could get a second, you absolutely have to move him at the deadline. You've got Cooley lighting it up in the minors. Tell me what they're really, really good at that isn't hot goaltending for 2 months. Like, what are they top 10 in the league at?
Suppressing high danger 5-on-5 scoring chances.
Are they top 10, you think?
They're top. I think statistically they're like 8th or 9th.
So okay.
But that's
it's
one
like thing.
That's it. Like,
Yeah, and I could see this group being a very good penalty killing team. They haven't been, but with this personnel and similar personnel last year, they were a very good penalty killing team.
They're not getting saves on the PK.
But they struggle to score immensely at even strength. Overall, the power play's been much hotter of late. They do score a power play goal for the 5th consecutive game. It's a nice run on the power play. The list of players you would call game breakers is very short. I mean, if you're in a shootout, you like Justin Kirkland. If you're in overtime,
he's
or a power
automatic,
play, you like Zary. But my concern about this team is that they're playing really hard. They're playing really well structured. They're getting great goaltending. Where are you going to win games if goaltending even gets to league average.
So
never mind below league average.
At 5-on-5, this is via our pals at Natural Stat Trick, who update things immediately after the game. So that's why we love them.
We do love that.
For expected goals for per 60 at 5-on-5, they are 2, 3, 4, 5. They're eighth. They're eighth worst. So they are. So the team, and actually they just lost to the team that is dead last in the NHL in expected goals per 60 at 5-on-5.
Yeah, and
for goals for, they're fourth last.
And so expected goals, if people aren't familiar, and because you and I like to talk in this lingo, that's not necessarily the way everyone talks about hockey.
Expected by whom?
Well, and so basically the quality of chance is a breakaway the same as a point shot? No, it sure isn't. A breakaway's probably got a higher success rate. Is a muffin from the top of the circle with the goalie having a clear view the same as a backdoor pass with a guy, where the goalie has to go from one post to the other? Of course not. So an expected goal is adding up all those chances throughout the course of the night, saying, you probably should be around this sort of a goal total based on the quality of chances you created over the course of a game.
Yeah.
They don't do enough of that creating. Now, they're good at suppressing it, to your point, but this is a team that when other teams that have better, more skilled rosters start to crank up their work ethic and structure, like we always see in the new year, when when Edmonton starts to click, when Colorado is now getting healthier, getting a little better, when these teams that are saying, okay, the 82 game dress rehearsal, like we got to start playing for seeding now. Not the teams aren't trying, but there's another level you see in the new year. I don't know how much more the Flames have to give in structure and work ethic.
I think they're going to be basically this for the whole season. I think they're going to play a lot of games where, they won't have a lot going on. 5-on-5. I think, especially on the road, I think they're not a terribly difficult team to defend. I don't think they have a lot of dynamism, and their system relies on simply wearing you down. And it's a very physically taxing system. It relies on a lot of skating and checking and body checking and wearing them down. And we've seen them. Like, I think one of the reasons why they have so many dramatic late game comebacks is because they just chip and chase and wear guys down, and then tired, sore players screw up and make mistakes, and the Flames capitalize. But it's a very difficult team to maintain. It's a difficult system to play over 82. Like we saw,
it really is.
We saw we saw the two, let's just call them what they are, stinkers against Utah and Vegas.
Yeah, back to
because I think they were playing. I mean, Vegas is a tough building to play in to begin with, but they're deep and they're fast and they're skilled and they're big. Yeah. Every one of the teams like 6'7" and can skate like the wind. It has a shot like Gretzky. Like, it's so difficult to play that team. And the Flames did not play a very good game. They did not bring their 60 minutes of.
They didn't get elite goaltending. And what did it look like?
Yeah, but
did the same thing 2 nights later in Utah. And what did it look like?
If we're calling a spade here, I mean, this feels kind of like those early Daryl Sutter teams. Yeah, where they're long on heart and systems and high on goaltending, and their goaltending is going to determine how far they go. 5-on-5 this so far this season. Dan Vildar has stopped 5.6 goals above expected,
which is incredible.
And just doing the math for Dustin Wolf. Dustin Wolf has stopped 8.7.
So 13 goals at even strength. And you think about how many 1-goal games they've had, how many comebacks how many times they've gone to overtime. I always just think sometimes the easiest way to explain everything that's happening in the NHL is just goaltending. Like, oh, what's wrong with Ottawa? Is it culture? What's happening with the Sabres? Is it culture? Oh my gosh, Florida, they almost missed the playoffs and then they went to the final. All of those things can really be summed up quite easily by just saying, did they get elite goaltending or mad goaltending?
The Flames are number 1 in 5-on-5 save percentage after tonight. And for 5-on-5 shooting percentage, they are 30th.
Yeah, so I would think they will finish higher than 30th in shooting percentage, and I would think absolutely they finish below top at 5-on-5 save percentage. They're going to come closer to the middle. So
if they finish top 10 in 5-on-5 save percentage, I think we're talking about some hardware for one of their goalies.
I agree. I think they're Dustin Wolf is. The Athletic had 2 pieces today where they listed him as the favorite and the co-favorite to win the Calder in 2 separate articles. I know you read them both. Yeah. I saw you tweeting about it. I was excited about both those because, of course, I'm a Bet365 futures holder of Dustin Wolf winning the Calder. Mentioned on the show many times. Let's get to a super chat. We got one there for $5. This coming from Arthas. If Colorado was watching this game, I could only imagine them yelling, "Give us Vladar right now." Also, go Flames go. We get a point. Let's do better in Columbus. Yeah, the road trip, it's time to make some hay. They've got 1 point and 4 left on a back-to-back, and Columbus is feeling good. They're feeling swaggy right now.
If you come home with 4 points in this road trip, you're reasonably happy based on...
No, These are 4 of the worst 5 teams in the East. I mean, if your team tank, you're whatever. But like, if you believe this team can make the playoffs, that's a failing road trip.
Yeah.
Where are all these teams in the standings? Pittsburgh is last by points percentage in the East. 3rd last, Ottawa. 4th last, Detroit. 5th last, Columbus. The only team they're not playing on this road trip that's in the bottom 5 in the East is Montreal.
This is
500 is not good enough if you think this is a playoff team, guys.
We talked about the duality of the team, how they can't bury anything or generate much 5-on-5, but they're very good defensively, and especially goaltending wise. That transfers over the Friday game will be their 12th road game. It'll be an even 12-12. Through 11 road games, they've won 3, lost 8. Through 12 home games, they've won 9, lost 3.
Yeah,
it's almost completely inverted.
You're right, and it's funny because a couple of
hilarious.
years ago they were a great road team and they couldn't win at home for their lives. It's weird. So the super chat comes in. Yeah, asking about Vladar to Colorado. It makes a lot of sense. I also don't think that now makes the most sense. If you're Colorado, they're in a wild card. They just got Nichushkin, Drouin, Taves is back. Like they've returned a lot of their skaters. They're also only getting 80 out to 89 saves out of 100. That's not a lot, but their talent alone is still going to allow them to be better than 500 through that. And they're a team that's got a lot of cap decisions to make, especially if they want to try to activate Landeskog, which makes it tough. So if they are going to add Vladar and you're Colorado, I'm just saying, let's talk in March. And at that point, there's you can eat some salary on an expiring deal. You get that cap hit down to just hundreds of thousands of dollars. And, you probably have a better idea if Gabe Landeskog is going to play or not this year.
Yeah, I mean, but if you're the Flames, I mean, I don't think they're in any hurry to do anything.
No.
The vibes, even despite the last 2 games, I think the vibes are good. They're in a playoff spot. They're well ahead of where anyone thought they would be at this point, and they're playing with house money. So, if you're the Flames, you're going, all right. I think they have, they paid a 3rd rounder to get Dan Vladar originally.
Yep.
According to Frank, the price tag is a 2nd rounder.
I think if you offer a second, you can get them before Christmas. I think teams are going to offer a 3rd, and then it's like, okay.
I think the Flames have price tags on, I think, everybody that they'd consider moving. And they're, as we saw last year, Craig Conroy is a patient man. He's outside of, maybe somebody making a big stink in the Toronto media. You're not going to go out of your way to move someone quickly.
Zadorov you're alluding to.
Yeah, and even that, he waited 3 weeks?
You could have got more, I think, but he just said, get the poison out of the well. This guy doesn't want to be here. Get him out of here.
And they opened some cap space and got some young guys in. So, there was a hockey reason to make the move too. But I think, evidence has shown, he's willing to wait, and he has a hand he wants to play, and he's not going to play the hand unless he feels damn good and ready to play the hand. And we'll see how it works out this year. But I mean, if you're a team, there's plenty of teams, Carolina, Colorado, there's probably gonna be more who need at the very least, a good number 2.
Yeah. No, Carolina's interesting because I believe Kochekov's hurt. They had Spencer Martin starting tonight because Freddie is out 6 to 8 weeks. I think I saw like multiple months. And then on top of that, you had Kochekov, who's the guy that always comes in when Freddie's hurt and plays. He's out. Spencer Martin, a waiver claim from Vancouver early in the season last year. I think right before the season started, they tried to slot him through, and Carolina liked him. He started for them. So
yeah. So I mean,
they could use a Vladar type guy. Sure, there's lots of teams that like their goaltending now that might not in March too.
If you're the Flames and you think someone's willing to pay a 2nd now, I mean, right now, Dan Vladar is very good, and he's very good at everything but PK save percentage at this point, and he's 11 games removed from major hip surgery. So maybe if you wait till Christmas, maybe you're closer to 15 to 20 games. You have a better idea of what he is. And
you're talking about Flames or a team trying to add him?
Both.
Yeah.
But it's easier to fit him under the cap because it's prorated. Yeah. And if you're the Flames, you're thinking, okay, if someone's willing to give me a 2nd right now, if I wait a month, maybe we can get that up a bit, like a 2nd, maybe it becomes a 2nd. And
I also just think over the course of his time in Calgary, I think it was his 1st or 2nd year, he and Markstrom just had phenomenal numbers. I think they won, they're tied the Jennings or something like that. They were right there.
I think they missed the Jennings by like a goal.
It was something crazy like that to Carolina, I think.
I think that's right.
I don't know since that season how many instances you could have said, today I can move Dan Vladar for a 2nd. Probably not a lot. And so if that day comes where someone does offer a second, I wouldn't blame Craig Conroy. I'll say, that's the price I asked for. Pull the trigger. Devin Cooley, we'll take a look. Now, if you know what makes things a lot easier? If you drop 5 or 6 in a row and you're out of the playoff picture and all of a sudden, you can see that top 10 pick in sight. If you're a team that's feeling good and won a bunch in a row and you start moving guys off the roster, that's where you run into that, I don't want this to bother the room thing, right?
Yeah. Carolina won in 21-22. The Flames missed out on the Jennings by 6 goals.
Yeah, and I think at even strength, they were better than Carolina or something crazy like that. It doesn't matter.
They were.
I just remember it was close. So thanks for the super chat to Arthas. Appreciate that. And yeah, I think absolutely, there's a lot of teams that could look at Dan Vladar and what he's done through the small sample of games. How many starts has he had this year? 11?
This was 11.
Like, he's been really good. It's probably one of the stronger 11-game stretches since that year I just referenced where he and Markstrom were sensational.
Yeah, and, I think they really like Devin Cooley. Devin Cooley is, if you looked at his numbers, he is a sub 2 goals against for the Wranglers.
940 something?
944, something like that. Whew. So, I mean, I think you feel comfortable with having both those guys up. And I think the big challenge would be, I don't even call it a challenge, but you can shelter Wolf for another month the longer you keep Vladar. And then if you're pretty sure, okay, he doesn't need training wheels anymore, that's when you pull the trigger. And you'll get, someone asked me earlier this week, would the Flames be under the cap floor if they traded Vladar? No, they can trade Vladar for absolutely nothing. And still be above the cap floor. They're at
what is the cap floor? Is it 20 below?
65.
So 23 below.
Yeah. Okay. So they're on track to spend just over $69 million, including like maybe less than $3 million on their goalies. They'll be fine. But.
Yeah, 30th they're paying for net mining and number 1 in 5-on-5 save percentage. That's some efficient spending, Connie. 3 goal scorers tonight were your 3 stars. Lucas Raymond, star number 1 with the overtime winner. Alex DeBrincat with the first period power play goal, and Connor Zary, the 3rd star, with the 3rd period power play game tying goal. Want to remind you, we are going to be at Richmond's Pub, not by Pike's request, but certainly a popular decision in the Pike household. Walking distance from Richmond's Pub is Maison Pike, and it is in the heart of Glamorgan, don't you know? We'll be watching the Blue Jackets and Flames Tuesday, the 3rd of December. It is the first game back from the road trip. It is. They'll play Pittsburgh Saturday, not again until Tuesday at 7. The Gaudreaus will be in attendance. It'll be an emotional night. We'll have the sound blasting at Richmond's. We'll have the Barn Burner Blonde in cans available for your purchase. And I've heard rumors of Flames alumni that might be appearing.
In addition to the one that works on this very podcast.
Yeah, no, more than just the long-armed, evaporator of chicken wings. The multiple alumni insinuates plural, does it not?
But the potential for multiple members
Alumnus
of the 04 team
would be a singular one, and alumni would be plural.
I believe so. So
I think that's
multiple
correct.
Alumni.
That's great. Yes, alumni.
Interesting.
Many deer.
And it'll also
fishes.
be wing night that night.
Elks. It will be wing night as well. Another Tuesday at Richmond's. We had a great time last time. Afterburner is going to be live. They do have some game day specials. Probably would be a good idea to give them a call. It was quite rammed when we watched the Habs game there, the coronation night. And another big one on tap. It'll be they play Columbus twice every 6 months. They will do the season series in a matter of 5 days. Friday in Columbus, Tuesday in Calgary.
And I think both of them are going to be fairly memorable games.
I agree.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, the Gaudreaus will be, I imagine, at both. They've committed to being in Calgary. We're hearing from Ryan Leslie, which I think is going to be a huge emotional outpouring and hopefully part of a healing process for the family. But they know how much their son was beloved in this city, and I think Calgary Flames fans will remind them if they're not exactly sure how much Johnny was loved in the city and still is today.
And I'm sure. I don't think a lot of Flames fans were excited to see Sean Monahan leave, and I know a lot of Flames fans have been pretty excited to sort of see him resuscitate his career and thankfully, stay mostly healthy in Montreal and now in Columbus. So I imagine that a lot of people at both games, we'll be cheering for a particular Flames outcome, but also for number 23 in blue to have a good game.
It is an interesting wrinkle that his best friend happens to sign there, and he was probably a part of that, but he'll be there as well, as emotional potentially as the family and anyone else. And I know Rasmus Anderson's talked about, we want to try to get the kids over and see the house and be with the family. Like it's going to be an emotional night. And there's been a lot of those along the way, and hopefully with each one passing, it helps this process of us trying to make sense of the senseless thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's been a weird few months.
Yeah.
Hopefully the family. I can't imagine. I'm sure everyone listening to this has lost someone at some point, and even at the best of times, it's a really crappy situation.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine being a parent or a sibling and losing, two members of your family in such a senseless and stupid way. So hopefully everyone in the family is doing well, and as well as can be expected under the circumstance. And hopefully the next the game on Friday and the game on Tuesday can be nice chances for some healing.
Heartbreaking, and it'll be an emotional night Tuesday. You can join us at Richmond's if you so are inclined. So losses in overtime. Flames fall to 2 and 3 in the overtime 3-on-3 session. It was a 4-on-3 goal that ended it. They remain 3-1 in the shootout, which means their full beyond regulation mark is 5 wins, 4 losses. That's an area that some years they're good, other years they're straight shirt, as I like to say. It was shirt under Daryl that year that things went poorly for him and the club. But yeah, it's another overtime game. All of a sudden you played 9. That's almost half of your games on the schedule so far. They're playing close games, Pike. Not a lot of blowouts either way.
Yeah, and a lot of weird. I think this is the second time they've lost in overtime off of a power play goal. I keep double checking my notes and I can't quite find it. But
find where it would be.
It's
their overtime.
Don't take
Carolina?
penalties, and don't take penalties in overtime. That'd be my advice.
Winnipeg won it late, or was that overtime? I'm trying to remember. They had just a couple close ones.
There's another one. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, weird.
We shall move. Let's get to our Bet365 wagers of the day. We told you, Bet365, the world's largest sports book. A huge range of markets you can wager on. And you should head right over right now to their website. Sign up with code NATION. That is Bet365 with promo code NATION. And you could have 3 pretty exciting football games to make perhaps a little more interesting. Never ordinary at Bet365. It will not be ordinary tomorrow. Bears and Lions is a divisional matchup. That's a 10-point spread. 9.5. It's moving. I apologize. 10 this morning. Moving towards the Bears, who have perfected the art of heartbreaking losses, whether it's overtime, blocked field goals, Hail Marys. Young Caleb Williams is he's going to do the pain before the gain thing, it seems, in Chicago. That they're playing tighter football games. Giants and Cowboys, this is these guys are at quarterback. What happened contest as the Giants' third stringer Drew Lock looks to be the starter for the afternoon game that starts at 2:30. Cooper Rush for the Cowboys coming off a win. Tua's back and healthy, but everyone says he can't play in cold weather. Welcome to Green Bay, son. You're at Lambeau Field. We'll see if you can shake that narrative. Packers favored by 3. Cowboys, the other home team. Didn't mention the line. They're favored by 3.5. So lots to sink your teeth into on American Thanksgiving tomorrow, Pike.
And they're all nicely staggered. And do they have a prop bet for what happens with the roof in at Jerry World? Is it in one piece still, or is it coming apart again?
I have not wide range of markets. I can't say they don't.
If you could bet on the length of the national anthem and the color of Gatorade that gets dumped on
the
someone,
Super Bowl, yeah,
I'm surely you can bet on whether or not a piece of the roof will come apart during the game, right?
We'll dive in and see. Now, do you have an NFL team? Am I forgetting? You look like a Lions guy.
I'm not much of an NFL guy.
Guess you don't have a team.
Seahawks a little bit, but not really.
Just a little bit. I don't want to hear about it. Yasmin, you got an NFL team or no? What's the story over there? No. She's like, don't make me talk, please. Don't even look at me. Sorry, yes.
I was just watching Champions League all day. So.
I watched Champions League too. Did you watch the Real Madrid Liverpool?
No, I was watching Villa and Juventus and hoping that someone would score a friggin' goal.
Now you're a big Aston Villa guy.
Yeah.
Where did this fandom get nurtured? And can you give us the 30-second where are they at? What are they doing this year? They're in Champions League.
They're in the Champions League. So I during the middle of the pandemic, I was bored and decided I need to have some misery in my life. So I went on social media and said I think the term I used was a flamesy team, a team that's always something going on. I didn't want a team like Man City or
Can't pick a front.
I didn't want someone really good, but I want someone that at least would stay in the league. And then they almost got relegated the first year I was cheering for them. And then they brought in Unai Emery, and I think the third manager since I started cheering for the team. And then they started winning all the time. And so, yeah, they finished, I think they were semifinalists in the Europa Conference League last year, but they were good enough to finish top 4 and make the Champions League. And now I think they're 9th in the Champions League, and then top 8 goes straight.
How'd it go today? What was the final result?
0-0.
Yeah.
Clean sheet. But they also didn't score.
You bet.
Because there are no power plays in the Champions League.
I watched the Real Madrid and Liverpool match. Mo Salah and Kylian Mbappe missed penalty kicks, and there was 2 goals. That I don't know what that would have paid on Bet365. 2 of the greatest goal scorers of our lives missing on penalty kicks, but Liverpool did win 2-0, which I'm okay with. As a Barcelona guy, Real Madrid losing, I can get behind that, Pike. For the Flames, the 5th third period comeback. They've been plucky. They work hard. We'll see what they look like against Columbus on Friday.
It's another plucky group.
What do you do in net? This is interesting because I think we've seen when a goaltender's been excellent and they've won, they've earned a consecutive start. Dan Vladar, that's as close as you can be to playing excellent but not winning.
Yeah,
I mean,
and they're
both going to play. I would assume it's a back-to-back. It's a Friday afternoon, Saturday evening.
How do you split them, though?
Well, that's what I'm asking. I want you to sort of like think out loud for our friends on YouTube here.
Pittsburgh's a worse team than Columbus, but it's not like there's a win difference and like half, 50 points in the points percentage. There's not really much of a difference. I'd go to Wolf. I'd go to Wolf and then I think Vladar's played some nice games in Pittsburgh in the past. So, but that's what I do. Alternate, keep them going.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
I could see either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically a coin toss for me. They're both playing well.
Yeah. I mean, they've had great goaltending. If you had to look at, we're the quarter pole of the season. Was this game 21 tonight or 22?
23.
23. My bad. So you passed the quarter pole. If you had to give letter grades out, or you had to just say by coaching, GM, defense, forwards, goalie, players, like I don't know that you'd have anyone graded higher than their 2 goalies.
Not a chance.
I think you'd have the coach and the 2 goalies as your 3 A+. Zary probably an A. I think your Uyghur Andersons are probably A-.
Yeah.
But like
I think the problem is like, do you give the coaching staff an A or an A+?
I do.
Given how the special teams is done, though.
No, I just look at is it a team that has showed up and worked every night? Almost.
Yeah.
How many times have they been outworked, and how many times have you been like, holy, this is an unstructured mess of a team? Like you really haven't seen it. Yeah, like back-to-back games in Vegas and Utah.
Yeah,
like they've been really organized, and this is a season that could have been fragile if they didn't get off to a hot start. If this team starts 1-4-1, how do veterans that look at their window to play in this league with lots of term left feel about being here? I mean, I think the coaching staff's done a really good job. I do.
Yeah. And I mean, they've managed the goaltending well. They've, their defensive system has been good enough to keep, make the goalies' lives reasonably undifficult at 5-on-5. They've been pretty good at clearing out and not giving up second and third chances. I mean,
5 games in a row with the power play. That's good.
I'd say the goalies are enthusiastic A+, and some of the young guys A's, A-. But
yeah.
I'd say Kevin Ball,
Kevin Ball, B+, A-.
That
I think Coronado, B+, A-.
Yeah. You can sort of see if you're thinking, okay, slot in a couple of these young guys to swap out some of the older guys the next couple of years. You can kind of see it moving up. I still, we've talked, you've talked on the other show. We've talked on this one about they don't have any like the
centers.
They're too good. They have 3 centers in the roster, and they're all 30+, and then they have some wingers they're trying out.
Well, and Zary's a maybe.
He's gotten there. But
so you said it, and I should have stopped you. Zary's going to get paid this summer. Zary's coming out of entry level.
Contract year Zary.
It's a great time to have the quarter of the season he's just put together. If you're his agent, you're him. You're someone that manages his money, or you're someone that's going to inherit his money because he's been great. And if you're Craig Conroy, you've got zero cap constraints in the sense of like, if we bridge him now, that'll buy it. No, they're not in the whole Matthew Tkachuk. You know, if I bridge Matthew, I can bring in these pieces and we can win. Like, if you want to get a deal that lasts a long, long time, this is the summer.
Yep. He is he's got half a point per game, 11 and 22. The thing you don't like, 36% faceoffs.
It's the kind of thing you can get better at.
Yeah, and he's played in the NHL, played 7 games at center last year in
That
garbage
many?
time, and then this year he's played like
A week.
5.
Yeah, we can
So he's like less than a dozenish games split over 2 years. Yeah, that's the kind of thing Backlund and Stagey can help him with. But I mean, he pops it. Like, if the eye test, if you're one of those people, you people with your eye test,
Well,
he pops. Like when
I'll tell you what.
you see him skating and you notice him.
A year ago, I came on this show and I showed my ass to people by suggesting he wasn't a good defensive player. I just said, he's a rookie. The metrics probably aren't good, lazy. They're excellent. He's a really good defender.
Yeah.
He's a guy that can move the needle defensively as a winger. He's a guy that if he is a center and he is going to be really strong defensively and he does give you some creativity on the man advantage, he is one of those guys that can essentially go at someone with the puck and come out with it on the other side. There's very few guys on the roster that can do that. Like, he
played
screams of a guy to be extended.
He played with Backlund and Coleman on the wing, look real good.
Yeah.
He played up the middle, look real good. When they've needed someone to sort of get Kadri's line going, it's a bit like because Kadri might have the worst underlines on the team. I think partially it's because of the guys he's playing with, but he's never been a driver. But you put Zary on that line, it starts to get going. So I mean, everywhere you put Connor Zary, the line starts going.
Yeah.
And I think if you're going in, I'm not sure if it'll do a long-term deal, simply because he's only played like a year and change by the time he gets to the contract room. 2 years in the NHL, sample size would be less than 150
Less than
games.
2. He came up late October last year.
Yeah. So I mean, he's basically been up for a full year at this point.
Yeah.
Year and a month or so.
Yeah. And so what he does between now and the end of the year is important because your sample size is growing. If you could see him closer to 3/4 to 0.8 points per game, does that help you? Is it center ice? I mean, centers are worth more than wingers. They're more rare. They're harder to find. They're more difficult to acquire.
Yeah, I kind of like, if you're looking at the bones of the team, Zary and Coronado play completely different styles of game, and they're both very good at different things, but they complement each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think, Zary is a better 200-foot player, and he can create more off the rush, but I think Coronado is a much better finisher, and he uses that shot, and, we've seen him create, of the 2 players of the team, I think they're the best of creating something out of nothing. Might be 27 and 47.
Yeah.
And so, if you're looking for bright spots in a season that, this was kind of a tough watch at times. There wasn't a lot going on.
Yeah. This is a 5-on-5 snooze fest.
The Ottawa game was kind of a tough watch.
There might be more of them, friends.
But if you're
That's
looking,
how they have to win, right?
But you're looking for positives, you're looking for growth from the young guys, 27, 47, 76, the small goalie who, for a small guy, he's getting the way of the puck a lot.
Doesn't look small, I'll tell you that. I know he's not 6 feet. They can list him at that, but when a goalie's not feeling confident. Remember Markstrom before his kid was born, there was that 4 months he couldn't stop a beach ball, it felt like. He's a huge man, and he looked tiny in the net.
Hey, all I know
Wolf is looking large in net now.
For surface area relative to the size of a puck, Wolf's gigantic. He's as big as he needs to be.
All you need.
And his numbers back that up. So I mean, there's some things going on, but I'm very curious what the rest of the season looks like for the young forwards, and especially, if you're Conroy, do you give them short-term deals? Because you're not really sure what they are. Neither of them played, multiple full seasons in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, do you trust your numbers guys and sort of go longer to try to keep the number down? Do you overpay but try to save money on the back end? Like there's a lot of ways they can go, and I'm fascinated to see how it unfolds.
Yeah, interesting. Next action, Friday, Columbus. Note the unusual start time. Black Friday in the States means a 1 p.m. Mountain matinee. not a nooner.
This
1 p.m.er.
This entire road trip is just like we had back-to-back 5:30 games, which
don't see that often.
We had a 5:30 Amazon, a 5:30 360 because there's too many other games going on, and I think it's a back-to-back on 360. So the late game is also on 360 because all the other Sportsnet channels are booked up. A 1 o'clock Friday game on it's Sportsnet 1 and Sportsnet West, and then a 5 o'clock game in Pittsburgh in the early game for Hockey Night in Canada on, I don't know, one of those channels. They got too many channels.
It says West there on that graphic. When they do finish this roadie, Pike, it's still 2 games away. It will be 7 of the next 9 at home for one of the better home teams in the NHL through the quarter pole. That'll be something to watch.
And that means some press box popcorn
for you.
That means bugging the scouts, all the fun stuff.
Not like heroin beers in the 300s and then high kicks and Duttons.
Some of us work for a living, Pinder. Some of us have to go and try to keep track of who's coming to games and who's not coming to games, and finding out which people are scouting for USA Hockey and which people are just there for a good meal. I'm there for a good meal. I'll be honest with you.
No, you work when you go. I'll give you credit. Any questions or comments jumping out at you? Yes, I know sometimes we highlight those along the way. It looks like we might have a couple starred. We may have got to them. Hey guys, can Hubert be placed on waived? If I recall, he can't, but don't remember the reason why. If you have a full no movement clause, even though it's in Calgary, sending him to the Wranglers is considered movement.
You got to go down the hallway, or you got to go to Winsport.
That's moving. They
can't put him on a bus to Winsport. That was consent.
Yeah. I also saw something very recently. It was a quick clarification. I think I can answer quickly. Bonuses. Nope, forget it. It's all good. Someone was saying they think sort of the gist of it was that Coronado was one-dimensional, great shot. But what else does he do? I like the pace plays. I think he's a really good forechecker. I do.
Yeah, and I mean,
separates guys from pucks better than you'd think a guy of his size.
They sent him down to the Wranglers initially last year and said, just work on your game away from the puck. He could always do things, really good things with the puck, but you had the puck more if you're better away from it. And they had him killing penalties in addition to, playing on the fourth line when it came up. And I think his, H.A. Greer on cleanout day last year had a good point where he thought he was really good for young people. He specifically mentioned Coronado because he played with him a bunch. He mentioned that he thought Coronado's game would take a step because of how well he was used on the fourth line and the steps he made. And I think we're seeing part of that. I mean, I think Zary's a better 200-foot player because I think he uses his speed to sort of close. But I think, Coronado doesn't have that speed, but I think he's really good at sort of using his movement and his ranginess to sort of angle guys out. So, yeah, Coronado's not quite a complete player yet, but he's trending that way.
I always remind people, a year and a half ago, he's playing college hockey. It's a huge step, and he's looking.
Where do you go to school? Harvard?
Smart guy. Smart guy. Eh?
Nice.
Safety school, my buddy at Princeton would say.
Yeah, and the Chicago Steel man.
That's factory down there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did you see the USHL released a press release following the NCAA eligibility rules?
They're looking forward to being,
because they were kind of coming under fire. People like, all these teams are going to join the O, and they just sort of threw out USHL is proud of our development track history or track record. And by the way, no league has had more players drafted in the last 8 years. Like,
yeah, of all the
that's a lot of draft pay. You got more than the O, you got more than the dub. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Wow.
Next time you get Jeff Merrick on, ask him about. We could fill an hour talking to Jeff about all this stuff. But
it's a show for another day.
But there'll be plenty of time for it.
Storylines to watch ahead of Columbus. Obviously, the off the ice stuff is all going to be Johnny Gaudreau, Sean Monahan, and the first meeting between the only two teams he wore a jersey for in the NHL. Beyond that, we'll see if Joel Hanley gets a fourth consecutive game. I haven't minded him on that third pair.
Him and Bahal were really good early.
Bahal had a really good shift where he had like 3 pinches, kept the puck in on all of them. We'll see if there's a goalie change or not. My Spidey sense says they go to Wolf. But this is the only time a goalie's lost where I think you could make a case for him to play the next one. It's a back-to-back as well, Friday, Saturday. We talked about that, so we'll keep an eye on that. Yeah. And then does Klapka get in? Is someone on that fourth line dragging too much butt that you could slide in the big 6'8" Czech kid who's been excellent at the American League level?
And the interesting wrinkle in all of that, off day tomorrow, And then because it's a 1 o'clock game, there's no morning skate. And then because it's a back-to-back and a 5 o'clock game, I don't believe there's a morning skate on Saturday either. So we might not get any clues
we won't know
as to what's happening until warm-up.
You're going to get the lobby hotel media availability. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. Do appreciate it. Thanks to our sponsors, Bet365, Richmond's Pub. We have more sponsors jumping on in December as well that you're familiar with and that you love. So we're excited to have that in the next couple afterburners. We're almost December. Pike, get your Christmas shopping done. Yasmin, thanks for being here. Appreciate that. Have I messed up anything aside from my hat? Apparently, I'm getting chirped at the whole night. We're good.
Hey, you're supporting the team, so you're allowed to wear whatever
championship gear, friends.
When other teams win championships, Pinder will start wearing different hats.
Good night, everyone. We appreciate you. Flames and Blue Jackets, 1 o'clock Friday afternoon. We'll talk after that.